the soil school program, which is a hands-on practical approach to biological farming and the systems that you need to put in place to achieve that.
How bad was the situation in Taviuni when you first started your soil schools?
Their whole process was a conventional one, and what was really evident was the fact that their houses their house was in one position, and their farm used to be right behind the house, and now their farm is 5 kilometres away. So the land degradation, the using up of the resources, burning up the resources to the point where they can't grow their umdala there anymore. So they have to move to the next plot and move and move and move. And what they've found is that they're at the top of the mountain and there's nowhere else to move. So they have to find another way of bringing that unproductive land back into production quicker in a rotation, so they can continue to grow their crops and be successful. Conventional agriculture is not meeting that need, so they had to do something different. So we offered a biological approach where we look at the biology and as the indicator of what's actually going on in the soil. And the soil school program teaches you about soil and what it is, and outside of the thought process from conventional agriculture that the soil's just there to hold the plant up. The soil has a much greater function than that, and that's what we teach, what the soil is. We don't actually teach the farmers how to grow dalo because that's what they're good at. Yeah?
Right.
We don't teach them how to grow anything. We teach them about their soil and what function the soil has in growing their food and their crops for sale.
Basically, I'll probably just start off with the whole experience. How has it been, the 2 years?
It's been challenging, exciting. It's been rewarding for the most part. I think that basically, you know, we as an organisation have grown with this, and I think all credit to Te Taivuni for allowing us to grow with it, so the whole program becomes something that's really measurable and worthwhile. I think early in the piece we had a lot of information to impart, and with the help of Te Taivuni they helped us to put that into a format that was worthwhile to the farmer and something that they could take away and have forever. And I'm probably talking about the workbook process that we've developed, where the farmer can then have that workbook at home and everything we talk about is in that workbook. So yeah, that was an important development as we went along in the process, and I think by the time we got to the third soil school we had a workbook format that was working quite well.
How has the response been so far with regards to grasping the whole curriculum as it is, the soil school?
We've now come to the end of the program now, and in 2 years we've put I think it's about 180 farmers through the program on Taviuni. Out of those farmers, they've all done an introductory course and an advanced course. And the way that works is the introductory course comes first. Then at which time they're given a whole bunch of new tools to go home and play with. And then we go away, and 12 weeks later we come back to deliver the advanced course to those that previously did the introductory course. Then of course we put a new introductory lot through as well. So everybody's done both courses. Right at the end, we just recently on Friday we put 15 champions through a masterclass. So what that means is that they're the cream of the crop, if you like, out of the 180 that we took 10% and said, guys, we want to make you guys the masters and the champions on Taviuni. So a lot of those ones are now involved in their own farmer groups, and they're able to help the farmer work through the issues that they might be having. The whole process is about us not having to be here forever. It's about empowerment for them to be able to deal with their own issues. Not that we don't want to come back, but you know.
Facts and figures.
Yep.
I'm just trying to get off the top of my head. From the 180, farmers, you have 15, well, 10% that are master champions. What happens to the rest? Do you intend to extend the program further? Or what
I think the program
how would it
could really do with extending and going further. I think now that the farmer groups have been set up, and there's a champion within reach of each of those farmer groups, they can then problem solve their own processes. We've given them a problem solving methodology to work through, so that any issue that they have, they can work through to get the answer themselves. And of course, we're always available.
Well, of the remaining percentage of these, the 10% that you mentioned with regards to the master champions, would you have readily available information on better yield with regard?
We've just finished demonstration plots. We pointed out earlier in the piece that we didn't want to do trials because it's not about putting one system up against another. This is just a system that works and it has value for the farmer. So we've done quite a few demonstration plots, and they've all been harvested now. To go through each plot, the first plot, they're all on particularly different soils, so they weren't on the same area. The first plot came back with I think it was 1.45 kilo average dollar, with a 10% reject. Now, the industry normal practice for reject at the moment sits at about 25%, so that's a pretty good result. And a 1.45 kilo dollar in that plot is really exceptional. That was a plot of land that hadn't been able to grow any dalo for a long time. The second plot was here at Matai that produced a 1.14 kilo average with again the 10% reject, so that was still outstanding results. And that was on a reasonably balanced soil. The third one was down in the south where we got a 1.2 kilo average. The reject we haven't worked that out yet because we've just pulled the crop today, or part of the crop as part of the meeting we had down there today. So they're the measurable differences, and the cost has come in at about half the cost of a conventional program. So.
You've mentioned, could you just share your thoughts with us with regards to your soil sampling, your soil testing? Okay. How has that come along?
Soil testing is pretty important. We believe it's pretty important, and they can be expensive, but in the big scheme of things, they can be very cheap if you're throwing on the wrong type of fertiliser. That can be much more expensive. We have Organic Matters has an arrangement with Southern Cross University in Australia to give subsidised soil tests to Pacific Island farmers, which is really good. We've done close to 60 soil tests here on Taveuni, and they've all. One of the highlights of that is that those soil tests come back, and then during soil school, the advanced soil school, we're actually working on Taveuni Island farmers' soils. So the soil tests are not from some farm in Australia or Tonga or wherever. They're from here, from this island. So they're looking at their own soil, and building programs based around their own soil test results. The testing that comes back from here is not comprehensive enough for what our farmers on Taveuni need now. They understand it a lot more, and they don't. They understand what they're looking at. So when they get their soil test back, they want to see a lot more than low, medium or high. They want to see the numbers because they now understand the numbers. That's part of what we teach them. So unfortunately at this point we still have to send them off to Australia. It is reasonably costly. It costs about 150 Australian dollars for a soil test, but every 2 years that works out to be reasonably cheap from the farmer's perspective. Especially if you don't have a soil test and you're just out there putting fertiliser out and wasting your money, basically. So it's a long-term solution. Yeah.
The lime input. I do understand this has been an outstanding issue with regards to the farmers here. How is there anything else that they can use with regards to? I do understand that phosphate is quite important. Is there any other substitute that could be introduced to actually?
There's quite a few inputs that we've taught them about, and some of them are traditional, and some of them are just buy off the shelf ones now. So we've gone back and looked at those traditional things and why their grandfather's father did those things, whereas traditionally it was just a matter of, oh, you do that because that's what you do. Now we've gone through that traditional process and explained why those things were important. So we've tried to pull a lot of that traditional knowledge back in. On the other side of that, you mentioned lime. What we've been able to do over the time is to actually work out what it is that's deficient here, what it is that's not functional, what it is that's the missing piece of the pie, if you like. Conventional agriculture doesn't look at that. Conventional agriculture simply looks at NPK, and we've gone in to try and understand what's actually going on here, and one of the biggest issues is calcium, followed up by phosphorus, two building blocks of everything. And calcium's a really can be a very cheap input, and it's something that everyone should do to build their calcium levels in the soil. And simply by doing that, they can make incredible changes in their yields and in the harvested crop. But it's not just about one nutrient, it's about look at them all in the whole and where they should be and what percentage they should be at. So, and I think the farmers understand that a bit better now. And the calcium issue is one that they've grasped onto, because it's actually something that came from their traditional agriculture a long time ago, because their fathers and grandfathers used to crush coral and put that out on the field. It's for exactly the same reasons that they're looking for the lime, which is the calcium now.
Okay then. So where to from now for OMF?
Busy. We've already got Soil School is up and running in Cook Islands, in Rarotonga, and it's also in Samoa. And we're about to do a scoping tour of PNG in Tonga to establish a soil school there. One of the first things we do at OMF when we get some interest from a country is go there and do a reconnaissance, a scoping tour, because all the islands are different.
Very true.
Very different.
Very true.
You know, and you have to go there and work out what their issues are and how their culture operates. Because you don't want to bustle your way in there as an Australian and say, I know everything, because we don't. So you've got to listen to what they have to say. So we spend 4 or 5 days going there and talking to them and understanding their issues and what they'd like to learn. Then we go away and develop soil school specifically for them. So the soil school that has been run here on Taveuni is very different to the one in Samoa, very different to the one in Rarotonga. So they're the same content, but just put a little differently, you know, to deal with their hands-on issues. And I think what's important for OMF is we stay at that farmer level. We don't get beyond that. There's enough people out there looking after supply chain solutions and all the other things, but there's not too many people on the ground with the farmers actually helping them to understand what's going on. For a long time, farmers get told that they're just a dumb farmer. If you're no good at school, you're going to be a farmer. Well, in fact, that's not right. Farmers are very, very clever, and in fact, farmers should be the wealthy people in the community because they're growing the food.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you for your time once again, and best wishes from the GF Secretariat team in Suva.
Thank you.